thought I'd try and leave the history of stoners, at least the history of stoners, from a true stoner's perspective. So, what I'm going to try and do is attack some of the, I don't know, highlights of stonerdom. That's right. Look, I invented a new stoner term already. Stonerdom. So, this episode is going to be about record stores because music and being a stoner go together like you wouldn't believe. It's where it all started for me, probably. The first time I went to a concert and smelt weed and was like, what was that? And then I've been attracted to weed ever since. So the record store is where you would get all your stoner stuff and your music. So it was perfect. It was like the therapy store for me. I would go there and get my rolling papers and the latest album that came out. And I've been searching for music my whole life. When I was young, I would explore my father's record collection. When I got my first job, I would spend my whole week's pay on an album or a cassette. Going to a record store was a great experience. There was record stores and department stores, and there was your local record store. The atmosphere at the local record store, the people hanging out were eclectic. The local record store was also the Ticketmaster where I bought tickets for all the shows I attended. Head shop, Ticketmaster, and record store. What could be better? By the time the 80s rolled around, I had a couple of kids and was working, and I lost interest in commercial music. So there was really no record stores in my life. In the 70s, you could go to clubs and find bands. In the 80s, clubs were closing down because of higher drinking ages and being sued for DUIs and over-serving. And the clubs started closing down, more and more clubs. And there was less and less bands because you couldn't make a living. In the 70s, you could go see a live band at a club every single night of the week. But by the 80s, that was long gone. And probably due to lawyers and irresponsible people at bars suing and taking advantage of the legal system. And like I said, there was less bands because you couldn't make a living doing that. And creative people had to go get jobs because they wanted to have families and survive, I guess. And by that happening, I just kind of turned to talk radio. I always knew there were talented people who weren't being heard, but I didn't know how to find them. It wasn't the internet by then, so it was really, I wasn't running in that circle. When PC started becoming more available, I knew that's where everybody would be getting their entertainment from. In 1999, Bumpsky and I decided to try and help out artists and musicians and started searching the internet for bands. I was amazed at how many talented people I found. I was also amazed at how many untalented people I found. The internet became the place for music and the record store was dead. As I started finding talented people on the internet, my friends, family, and fans of the show would ask me for music for free. I would always tell them to go and buy it. I always felt that you should support artists that you like. Some of it couldn't be found, though. In fact, there's a story of someone, one of the fans of the show, finding music I played on the show 20 years later at a record store. After hearing that story and realizing that more and more bands are starting to release vinyl, I got a record player. So that meant going out and getting records, asking friends for records, rebuilding up my record collection, and going back to record stores again. So recently I went to a record store near my house, figuring I would swap some records that I don't listen to very often for other records. So I get to the record store, the guy starts looking through the records, starts making piles, starts scrutinizing if they have scratches or anything, and he picks the most pristine 11 out of the 30 that I bring. And of course, also the ones that are probably not most prevalent, that he doesn't see very often. So the ones that are worth the most to him. So I go, okay, so how many do you think I could trade for? And he goes, oh, 5. And I was like, well, you know, you picked the best ones, you picked the most obscure ones. What do you say you let me pick out 7? And he goes, no, 5, and I will look at them before I could tell you if you could have them or not, because otherwise, you know, if I pick something that might be a little obscure or in better condition, he was going to count that as more than one album. So I said to myself, you know what, Jerry, just pick up your albums and leave. So I picked up my albums. I said, thank you very much, but I'm not interested. And as I was walking out, he started yelling, oh, well, go ahead, go sell them on eBay. See what you get for them on eBay. And I'm not even going to sell them. I'm just going to keep them and listen to them. And Bumpsky kind of like stayed back and I guess was kind of like thinking that she was going to smooth it over. And she said to him something like, oh, have a nice day. And he said, well, why did you come in here? And she said, well, to say hello to you. And he said something to like, I don't know, something to the effect like, get your shit and get the fuck out of here. So the record store personnel has changed. They're a little bit more bitter. Not the record shop experience that I remember. Unfortunately, I guess I'll have to do most of my virtual record shopping now. That's the record store history here on the Bumpsky Show. Like I said, just trying to give you stoner history, something that you could look back on and go, I wonder what it was like in the 70s to go to a record store. And there you go. It was great. There was people hanging out. There was incense burning. And who knows what else was burning. People having a good time. Music playing all over. I miss the days of music playing everywhere I went. And I'm not talking about just like beats and some weird loud stuff. I mean, people playing instruments and music and oh my God, what a different world. But hey, you gotta evolve with the world, right? And look at me, we're evolving, you're evolving, and we're all evolving together. But it doesn't hurt to know what it was like many, many years ago. So there you go, record stores.